Hey guys, Brent here from Building the Exocet. Today I'm going to show you how to reassemble your rear brake calipers after powder coat. Okay guys, so I went through in a quick update on a video that I had as far as buying the remanufactured parts, and these are remanufactured brake calipers from AutoZone, and I kind of showed you some of the issues that you can have with remanufactured parts. This was that old stripped out bolt that they left in there, filthy dirty. This is a new OEM Mazda $11.50 screw bolt, whatever you want to call it. So now that I have that in hand, I can get to rebuilding the rear calipers. As you can see, I completely disassembled the calipers, basically because even though they were brand new, I wanted to get them ready and powder coat them. As you can see, I have them powder coated. RAL 5002 Ultramarine Blue is the color. And so this video, I'm just going to kind of go over with you guys real quick a how-to on reassembling the calipers. I don't have a tear apart video, but if you want to know how to do it, just put this video in reverse and it'll kind of be the same idea. So let's get to it. Okay, so here you have a quick rundown of the parts, the seals used, bolts, washers, everything like that, the adjustment screws that are needed for the brake caliper rebuild. It's not as hard as it seems. Once you've done the first one, I would say takes probably about a half hour. Second one should just take probably about 15 minutes to put back together. This is the thing that takes time. This stupid little C-clip that basically goes around and holds this adjustment bolt in. It is a pain in the butt to get to. I still not find a proper set of needle nose pliers that can get this, or excuse me, snap ring pliers that can get that little snap ring in and out with ease. I've kind of had to modify my existing ones to make them get down in that hole to get that out. So these are the parts here. I also got a tube of OEM Mazda grease to grease the appropriate adjustment screws as they recommend. And we'll go from there. Step one here is with the main part of the caliper, the part with the cylinder. The brake adjustment lever here, or activator lever, whatever you want to call it, has an oil seal that is inserted right inside of here. Seal is in place, then you will want to insert this lever inside of there through the seal and into the hole. Make sure in here that you do have grease in this hole, as the hot dog, as they call it, this little piece right here goes in here, and you want to keep plenty of grease in that little pivot. For this adjustment screw that slides inside the piston here, you want to grease the groove that is in the top, and then you will be, after you apply that, you will be greasing and inserting this little piece, this little hot dog shaped piece here that goes inside there. What this piece will do is it will sit down. Let me get that greased up good here. It will sit down inside this screw head, and then the other end will drop into that little pivot point on the e-brake arm here. Before you insert this in, there is one oil seal that fits right on that part of the adjustment screw there. Sure to feed that in there, as that will keep the brake fluid, I believe that's for keeping the brake fluid out of the greased adjustment area. It'll fit right on that groove like that. Show it, but using a pair of pliers, I grab that adjuster bolt there and slide it down into the piston bore there. Then once you get to the bottom, push it in so that little hot dog piece snaps into the pivot point on this. That'll seat now, and now you'll be ready to put the snap ring down in that hole. This little snap ring has to get all the way down in there, be compressed and snapped in. It is not easy. It's going to take you some time the first time. You're going to have to modify some stuff, or if you're lucky, you have a long enough set of needle nose pliers to do that. I use the Harbor Freight version here. These normally go like this to work. However, because of the length of getting in there, I had to take out the little cotter pin that holds it together here and move them up to here, and very carefully get all the way down in there to apply that snap ring. I'm not going to take a video of it because I do not have enough arms. You're going to have to figure that one out on your own, but it is not easy to do if you do not have a correct set of snap ring pliers. Now that that fun is finally over, I take a little more grease and apply to the adjustment bolt for that, setting the piston depth like this. And then in the back of the caliper here, in that hole, you want to drop it through until it interlocks with the bolt that is in the splined part of the bolt that is in the cylinder there. Then I will take this screw here with the seal to plug and hold that bolt from backing out at some point when I have to tip it upside down to put the piston inside. During the piston, you have a kind of a round but squared off oil seal that goes right down here before inserting the piston and the seal into the caliper. This one goes in fairly easy as it's a snug fit, but it's very flexible and usually just pops right in there. Before I insert the piston, I like to take some brake fluid. In this case, I'm going to be using AMSOIL .4 brake fluid, and just kind of line the bore and that seal to get things lubricated before pushing the seal in. Try pouring a little bit in there. I don't want to get too much because it will start to pour out. Just basically kind of work the part around to get all the sides lubricated. The next most difficult part of the assembly, in my opinion, is inserting the piston. This is the fluid seal. The top part of the seal will snap around the groove in the piston. The bottom part of this seal, right here, this lip, this edge, that will sit in this groove right above that oil ring you put in the piston earlier. The piston and the seal seated in that bore, I go ahead and pull this back out so I can access my adjustment screw. Then it's just a matter of getting that bolt thread to line up with the thread inside of the piston here. So you just kind of got to turn it around a little bit, hold the cylinder bore down, and eventually you'll feel it grab, and then when it does grab, it will start pulling the piston into the cylinder. So now the piston is seated all the way in the cylinder. You'll start to feel some resistance once it is completely inserted. Then take that bolt to plug the set screw back in there. And at this point, you can tighten this. It will need to be adjusted later, probably for the e-brake setting, but for now you can just go ahead and just tighten it down, get it snug, and move on to the next parts. The puzzle is there's two seals for the caliper mounting bracket. This seal here will slide over this piece, which goes into this side of the caliper. This piece here, the seal must first be pushed inside, and then it locks inside this here. So I usually rub a little grease around this just to help it slide in a bit easier and make your life a little simpler, as this sucker's pretty compressed getting in there. Okay, now the caliper bracket, I apply a little grease to this here. Then you need to make sure you put it on the correct way, because on this side, that seal threads around that lip there. So first what I do is I put that on there, and then it gets inserted into the caliper here and gets pulled around this lip to seal off. Last bolt here is this long cylindric one with some threading on the end. This here connects the other side of the caliper. This is actually what you have to remove in order to get the mounting bracket to slide up for brake pad removal. This will go in the back here and will slip through this threaded hole that is right here. Now, in the back of the caliper here, you will see two more holes. This smaller hole here is the bleeder screw. That just gets insert there and just snug tight for now. And then this hole here is for the brake line. Be sure to have those 2 washers on there to crush that banjo fitting. I'm just putting these all in loosely and just dry for now, since I'm not going to be loading up the calipers for some time. Last piece here is the bracket for the e-brake cable. As you'll see, this flat part here coincides with the machined part there. Basically just insert this in there and then torque. You know, it was torqued pretty high when I got it, so I'm going to go ahead and smash this thing on there pretty good. Then once we get this on, the last thing is kind of one of the pain in the butt things, putting the spring, which is the last piece, on this activation lever here. You guys a close up here. This spring gets inserted like this. Then the top part of the spring needs to be pulled up and over so it clamps on here. There's a lot of tension there. As you can see here, I really had to, you can see the scoring in that piece, I really had to drag it across there to get it over. So once that's on though, that gives the tension for the lever, as you can see. So time to get that on there, and that's the last piece, and we're just about all done. That adjustment spring, I just need to bend it down a little bit here. I'll do that after I get the camera shut off, to clip onto the arm there, and then we are all done. That is 2 rebuilt calipers for you, all powder coated, new seals, everything all ready to go. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Got my calipers all redone. Now time to move on to other things. Once again, I am not a professional mechanic. I am a do-it-yourself amateur at home. So if you have more tips, or if you found me doing something wrong, or a suggestion, feel free to put it down in the comments below. I will be happy to have it. Thank you very much for watching.